The second part of configuring a router is to configure the routing table. If you have a good DHCP server, your routing table may already be configured. And for IP version 4 routes, you can check the routing table with this command. There is no default destination route available. And for IP version 6 routing, we use this command. And note the flags. There is no gateway, so there is no default route here either. So let's see what we have to do to add some default routes. Basically, I list the format for adding routes to an IP version 4 and IP version 6 routing table. I just have to substitute the right IP address. And to make sure I get the right IP address, I check the configuration of the gateway card. That's the card that's connected to the external network. So this is my IP version 4 gateway address, and this is my IP version 6 gateway address. So to add the default route with the noted gateway address, I run this command. And since I have 2 network cards on this system, I need to make sure it's applied to the right network card. I confirm the result. And there it is. I now have a default route through interface ETH0, the first Ethernet card. In the same fashion, I can add a default route to the IP version 6 routing table. The pattern is similar. I just add the -A net6 switch. I'm creating the default route here. The gateway goes through this particular IP version 6 address. And here's a little trick. At the command line, when I highlight some text, I can copy it by pressing the middle mouse button. If you only have 2 buttons on your mouse, try pressing both left and right buttons together. They're usually configured as if it were a middle mouse button. And of course, I need to make sure this is applied to the right network card. But wait a second, what did I do wrong here? I have to add the address. Now let's check the result. And there it is. I have a default gateway going through the given IP address through the correct interface. But the fact that routing doesn't seem to be completely configured suggests that I need to configure a static route. And that's possible in various files shown here in the etc/sysconfig/network scripts directory. The route ETH0 file applies to the first Ethernet card for IP version 4 routing. Naturally, route 6-ETH0 applies to the first Ethernet card for IP version 6 routing. Naturally, I'll substitute the IP version 6 address given previously for IPv6 ADDR. And the simplest way to do it, or the shortest way, is to say the default route goes via, whoops, that's the wrong address, the gateway address I gave earlier. Let's just make sure it's written properly. Yep, there it is. And now for the IP version 6 address, I write it to the route 6-etho file. And there it is for IP version 6. If you configure static routing with the GUI network configuration tool, you can do it for IP version 4 addresses, but the result looks a little different. When I did it using the GUI network configuration tool, I get these three lines. Gateway 0 equals my default gateway with the default network mask and network address. Those defaults are 0.0.0.0.